I never thought I'd fall for a woman named Lois, but we'll meet Teri Hatcher, a.k.a. Lois Lane, and we'll tour Forey's Acker Mansion next on The Buzz. This week we buzz to VR 94 to investigate how virtual reality is invading your life. Teri Hatcher, who gave up high-powered math to become Superman's girlfriend. The creator of famous monsters of Filmland magazine, Forrest Ackerman, and his House of Movie Memories. And who said Saturday morning cartoons are just for kids?
Stay away! Help me, Slaymo! Hey, wait! Have you considered taking over Graceland instead?
It is Sci-Fi Buzz. Welcome, everybody. Hey, did you hear the big news? Agent Scully doesn't have to wear those big coats anymore. Oh, no. She had her baby about 7.5 weeks ago. I'm talking about Gillian Anderson, my heartthrob. Boom, boom, and a ba-boom, boom. You know, I was kind of wondering who the father is. I couldn't figure out who this guy was. I was thinking maybe he was some type of extraterrestrial or something. Come to find out, the daddy is a Canadian art director that Gillian met on the set of X-Files. Lucky guy. Oh, boy. Oh, well, I've moved on. I've moved on to Teri Hatcher. Oh, yes, of Lois and Clark. But this ain't no old-fashioned Lois Lane. No, 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 no. This is one happening woman.
Lex Luthor.
Great Caesar's Ghost. Thanks to actress Teri Hatcher, Lois Lane has come a long way, baby. With her role on ABC's Lois and Clark, Hatcher has brought the intrepid lady reporter into the 90s with a bang. Fallout from that explosion has many sci-fi fans aching to know more about the woman behind the Man of Steel's main squeeze. Over the course of 2 interviews, we got the buzz on what becomes a Lois most.
I am bright, and I am goofy and nutty and silly and spontaneous and also introverted and have trouble figuring things out and being happy with myself and my insecurities, and those things I think all become a part of Lois as I'm playing it. Mm-hmm. Just makes her, I think, fuller and somebody that women of today can probably relate to more. Mm-hmm. She doesn't have it quite all together like I think some of the Loises have before.
I think, considering the fact that I saw you first, you owe me an exclusive.
Hatcher's Lois is still a no-nonsense reporter, but she's not as crisply starched as her predecessors. Teri brings a zany, sexy quality to Lois that wows male viewers without alienating women. You'd never guess that before she started acting, Hatcher was a college math major.
My dad's a physicist and my mom's a computer scientist, and I think you grow up in a household like that. You just feel like that's what you know, so that's what you do. And I was good at it, and I like problem solving, and I can be neurotically logical, and so it was a good profession for me to seek out.
Some of the same qualities that drew Teri to math give her Lois that adorable, spunky demeanor.
I also think I've always enjoyed the competitiveness with men, and I like being able to prove myself in a business that is not necessarily a woman-oriented thing. I like being able to say, see, I can do it better than you, and or at least I did then.
What are you doing here?
Teri thought it might be nice for you to have a little help. You were almost killed last night.
I got out of it. I don't need any help.
With almost 2 seasons under her belt, Teri has proven that she can hold her own with both Clark Kent and Superman. And off-screen, she has no trouble dealing with her newfound fame.
Fans seem to be pretty genuine and respectful and, you know, gracious about wanting to meet you and tell you how much they like you. I don't know if it's because Lois is so strong and feisty and that people don't give me a hard time. You know, the people that come up to me on the street are really great. You know, they're just like, aren't you Lois?
While the show has received only so-so ratings, fans of Teri Hatcher can only hope ABC will let the Lois and Clark audience continue to build rather than pull the plug on the series. Meanwhile, Teri is happy to do whatever it takes to keep her indelible stamp on this 90s version of Lois Lane.
I said 9. I thought you'd be naked. Ready.
I have great hopes that they will continue to give Lois ridiculous situations to get into so that I can have challenging things to do, like sing, which I did in one episode last year, or have to wear a chicken suit or get thrown into a garbage dumpster or those sorts of things. I love that, getting down and dirty. So hopefully there'll be more of that.
My name is Frank Guyton. What I'd like to recommend to you is Origin Software's Privateer. Now, I think the graphics in this are phenomenal. The story's great. The soundtrack is wonderful. Check it out. Space opera fans, you'll love it. Fans of Wing Commander, you'll really enjoy this one. It's a little different bent from the military campaigning stuff. So check this one out.
Virtual reality appears to be on a runaway train to unimaginable places. In recent years, countless companies from every corner of the planet have feverishly jumped on this potentially lucrative bandwagon.
Competition is fantastic. There's no market without competition. You have to have competition to see this industry, which is now this whole convention center. I mean, when I started a few years ago producing these things, like there was 4 of us. You know, the audience was the speakers, really. This thing is just going out of this world.
Though virtual reality, or VR, is no longer an alien concept, for mainstream America, it still has a mystique. After all, it's only been a few years since most of us first heard those 2 words partnered side by side. But as we discovered on our recent trip to VR 94, a virtual reality exhibition in San Jose, California, the seeds of VR were planted over a quarter century ago. Visions of busy bees brainstorming in Silicon Valley undoubtedly come to mind when one envisions the origins of virtual reality. But the hotbeds for VR research have long been educational institutions. One of the pioneers to come out of this environment boldly left the cushy confines of MIT and forged his way into the jungles of corporate America.
Evans & Sutherland is one of the old-time computer companies, been around forever, 25 years in fact. Started by Ivan Sutherland, kind of the father of virtual reality, who built the first head-mounted display in 1966. And there's some great history in this company.
Despite their longevity, Evans & Sutherland was at VR 94 plugging their latest offering with the enthusiasm of an upstart company. In an ambitious attempt to find new and unusual ways to use computer graphics to create 3D environments, they've come up with virtual reality hang gliding, and convention callers were eager to give it a go.
I guess it's the ultimate entertainment experience to take you out of your own life and go into something that's potentially more exciting, or at least just completely different.
Nail him, he's right in front of you.
Most virtual reality games are geared toward the male youth market, always a willing audience when action and adventure are involved. But Evans & Sutherland have cleverly enlarged the market for VR games.
We worked hard to try to find something that wasn't, you know, a new way to blow somebody up. We wanted to have a more interesting, introspective, and kind of a flying, free-floating thing. And it appeals to women and to older men even, too. So it's been really quite interesting.
Nifty as the hang gliding ride is, Division Inc. has devised an even better way to take mature, money-minded consumers and make VR believers out of them.
It's very expensive to build a house and then say, well, I don't really like the way the kitchen is designed, can we change it? But if you could walk around your kitchen beforehand and experience it, you can get spatial relationships. You can see, is the ceiling really tall enough? Is the scale right? Can I reach the knobs easily? You can experiment with all those things while in this virtual world.
And what a world it promises to be. A visit to the famous Acker Mansion in Horrorwood, California, after this delightful diversion.
So he's got $50,000 bucks. He actually had some money.
Hey, cameraman.
Come over and count.
Camera boy!
I'm the host, okay? Over here, if you don't mind.
Frankenstein
Where are you
novels,
going?
Dracula
Oh, right.
novel.
I'll come over to the action.
This stuff's worth about $25 million.
Oh, everybody's interested in Susan. You know, I am kind of jealous myself. You got to take a tour of the Acker Mansion, didn't you?
It's something I wanted to do for years and didn't let me down.
Now, for those historically ignorant, so to speak, in the sci-fi genre, historically challenged, I should say, be politically correct. Okay, to look into the camera and give us a little, you know, educate us about Forey himself.
Okay, well, have you heard of the magazine Famous Monsters of Filmland?
Of course.
Founded by Forrest Ackerman. Have you heard of the phrase Sci-Fi?
Yeah, of course.
Coined by Forrest Ackerman.
I get the buzz.
Now he's a collector. People just give him things. He's collected things over the years, and we got to take a tour of his home.
I really was anxious to check out the Acker Mansion, but having heard some pretty strange things about Mr. Ackerman, also known as Mr. Acker Monster, I asked my brave, devoted husband, Frank, to join me on the tour.
Who dares disturb the sleep of the vampire?
It's us, Mr. Ackerman, for our tour, Sci-Fi Buzz.
Sci-Fi Buzz, did you bring your channel with you?
Yeah?
Then the editor of Famous Monsters of Filmland bids you descend if you dare.
Okay.
I bid you welcome.
Thank you.
Listen to them, children of the day. What music they make. Lovely, Nick.
Oh, gosh.
Well, welcome to the Acker Mansion.
Well, I think we're excited to be here.
A little bit nervous.
Right. No, we really are excited to be here.
Well, grand. This is all the end product of collecting ever since I was 9 years old.
Wow, this is
We're
incredible.
passing right by Donovan's brain and son of Donovan's brain. There I was in the sidewalks in New York, 1939, the first World Science Fiction Convention.
With all this stuff around, I'm wondering how you even got started. What was the beginning?
Oh, yes.
Ooh,
well,
that's a good
at the corner of Santa Monica and Western in 1926, this magazine literally jumped off the newsstand, grabbed hold of me, and I don't imagine most of the viewers of this are old enough to realize, but in 1926, magazine spoke.
Oh, yeah?
And this one addressed me and said, "Take me home, little boy. You will love me."
Oh, yeah, and look at this.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah, that's a little cutie from Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Oh, my gosh.
And here we have Nosferatu, the original Dracula, and our exorcist girl.
Does she spit on you?
And, well, that's a spitting image of her. And want to warn all of the little youngsters watching this, that's what's happening if you don't brush regularly.
Is that what I think it is?
Well, if you think it's from Metropolis, my favorite film, which I've seen 78 times, it's a reproduction of the robot tricks, Ultima Futura Automaton. The original of that robot tricks was probably blown to bits in the Blitz of Berlin. Nobody knows what became of it, but a couple of local chaps spent a year and a half and 600 hours and recreated her. All I have to do is oil her regularly.
Time out. Now, how much more of the tour is there? I'm loving this.
Plenty.
Really?
Lots.
Okay, we got to do some business, then back to the tour.
Great.
Okay, watch this.
This is Brian Detling from Ridgecrest, California. I've got an older book for you. You'll have to check your used bookstore for this one. It's called Inherit the Stars by James P. Hogan. This is a fine hard science story of research, deduction, and revelation. This book is well worth your time to hunt down.
You'll never sleep in on Saturday morning again when you find out what you're missing next.
Hey, Buzzers, this is Steve from Philadelphia. I would like to recommend Nexus. This comic book by Mike Barron and Steve Rude was previously published by the now defunct Capitol and First Comics. Reprints are now available from Dark Horse Comics. This science fiction adventure tells the tale of Horatio Hellpop, also known as the Nexus, who is given fantastic powers by a mysterious alien known as the Merc. Unfortunately, these powers come at a price.
TV right now. In fact, I'm so steamed, I've had members of the staff just sit and watch hour after hour of cartoons. I think they're liking it, especially old Dave here. We want to give you tips on these great Saturday morning cartoons. There's actually some good ones.
By thunder, what are you?
We're Smurfs.
Not so long ago, shows like The Smurfs ruled the Saturday morning airwaves. And while this kind of program still maintains a degree of popularity, a new exciting breed of animation is invading those early weekend hours. And it ain't just for kids anymore.
Megabytes thugs would be here.
Did I make it?
At last, there's a reason to wake up early on a Saturday, thanks to the technical wizardry of ABC Television's remarkable series, Reboot.
Wait, let a virus like you and your army visit the supercomputer through a stable portal? I don't think so.
Not only does Reboot use state-of-the-art computer animation, the show revolves around the high-tech world of computers. Filled with all the latest computer jargon, Reboot's stories take place in the metropolis of Mainframe. There, our hero, Bob, battles the villains Megabyte and his sidekicks Hack and Slash. It's the perfect Saturday morning cartoon series for all us computer geeks.
What excitement, what thrills, what chills! The final finale of the Mr. Bumpy Super World Bumpy Ball Bowl! And I'm winning!
Claymation sure has come a long way since the days of Gumby, and there probably isn't a better stop-motion animation series going today than Bump in the Night. The series focuses on the misadventures of Bumpy, a whacked-out, sock-eating monster that lives under the bed of a 10-year-old boy. This strangely charming character is the Robin Williams of Claymation.
Avast there, captains and kiddies. You've caught me with my sails down, right in the middle of me mud bath.
Remember the horror comedy tales of former Saturday morning ghost chaser Scooby-Doo? Well, Scooby's stories of terror may be long dead, but Tales from the Crypt Keeper has done a frighteningly good job of taking his place. And while the show has been toned down for Saturday mornings from its morbid beginnings on HBO, the wisecracking host and his tales of chills and thrills are still well worth tuning in for.
These are the tales of the skeleton warriors.
And of course, Saturday mornings have always been a domain of superheroes and intrepid do-gooders, and this season is no exception. The choices run from the bad-to-the-bone antics of CBS's Skeleton Warriors to the ever-dependable adventures of Batman and Robin. Each of these series maintain the basic good versus evil storyline while displaying stylish production values and some of the best dramatic voiceover work in decades. And finally, if your tastes run more to the traditional cartoons like Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes, then you can't go wrong with Animaniacs. Created by Warner Brothers, the same studio that gave us that wascally wabbit, Animaniacs is the closest thing today to the classic Warner's tunes of the 30s and 40s. Oh yeah, it doesn't hurt that the series is executive produced by some guy named Steven Spielberg.
Wait a minute. Just what are you trying to say?
This TV season is one of the most prolific for animation fans craving something just a little more grown up. The choices are truly overwhelming. Now all you have to do is make yourself crawl out of bed on Saturday morning. Oh, what the heck, just set the VCR. When we reactivate, more from the Acker Mansion, including Bela Lugosi's cape.
I can't wait to see more.
I see you are a very brave girl for one who has lived but a single lifetime. Now, here is the remains of the brontosaurus that chased the man up the tree in 1933 in King Kong.
Incredible.
And the very gas bomb that brought down the mighty Kong. Here you'll see the last remaining death-defying ray machine from H.G. Wells and George Pal's War of the Worlds.
Wow.
And over here, quite a few life masks. Late Vincent Price and Lon Chaney Jr., the ill-fated lycanthrope, Larry Talbot of the Wolfman fame, Bela Lugosi himself, the immortal Count Dracula. And 1931, Boris Karloff, who brought Mary Shelley's Frankenstein to the screen. That's me when I was alive. And here we are in the dining room.
Beautiful.
Little brainchild of mine, Vampirella.
You invented Vampirella?
Yes, I did, back in 1969. And here there are 500 different editions of Frankenstein and Dracula. I just got this one from Russia.
Oh, my
God. And have them in Japan where they call them Frankenstein and Devilman Dracula.
How many rooms do you have in this house?
18.
And everyone's filled with stuff?
Everything is bursting at the seam. Stuff. Don't be afraid.
Okay.
I never drink at Hollywood and wine.
Nice cape.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's Bela Lugosi's cape as seen in Plan 9 from outer space.
Incredible.
He was buried in one, his son has another, and this is the final cape.
Unbelievable.
You know that some people had the nerve to call him Chicken? Because he always had his cape on.
Saw that coming.
And that's the ring that he wore. Are you brave enough to go down to Grizzly Man?
I don't know.
Let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
Better wait a minute, dear. It hasn't been fed yet. I better check it out, see what its temperament is.
Come on.
Oh,
okay.
for God's sake, stand back.
It's in there. Thanks, Mr. Ackerman. Thanks for the tour.
Thanks.
Bye.
We gotta go.
Neat tour.
Thank you.
How do we take that tour?
Well, he said about 40 weekends out of the year, he's around giving the tours. All you have to do is call.
The mysteries of aliens, the magic of Houdini, the miracles of angels. Now the real stories. People and events are explained in Mysteries, Magic, and Miracles, hosted by Patrick McNee. Coming up next.